It's February 2005. At his home in Colorado, David Stang takes a call from his sister, Dorothy, a nun and Catholic missionary working in the Amazon.
She said, "Good morning, David. I hope you're awake." It was 4 o'clock our time. I said, "Well, I always am when I hear your exciting voice." And she said, "I'm just calling to tell you I love you." She said, "I'm a little concerned because 12 families have been burnt out of their houses, and the food has also been destroyed. They are all out in the forest with nothing. And I'm going down there with shovels and nails and food and blankets, and we are going to rebuild." And she said, "This time I'm a little concerned."
Just hours later, gunmen arrived at the settlement in the rainforest and shot Dorothy Stang as she held a Bible in her hand. One of her fellow missionaries described what happened.
She read from her Bible the Beatitudes. She read 3, "Blessed are the poor, blessed are those who seek justice, blessed are those who work for justice because they will be persecuted." And then she herself perceived that what was going to happen, and she held her Bible up to defend herself, and he shot her 6 times. Cut our hearts, it did.
Dorothy Stang came from a deeply religious American family. According to her younger brother, she was a natural leader.
She was a strong, happy, smiling individual. And I remember when I was young watching her play football outside with the boys. She not only played the football, but she was the quarterback, and she was the one who chose the teams. So obviously the boys saw her as an intelligent, strong young woman.
David and his sister had both been inspired by the Catholic Church's shift in the 1960s towards liberation theology. David went as a missionary to East Africa, Dorothy as a nun to Brazil, where she chose to work among the very poorest. It was only in late 2004, at the age of 73, that Dorothy invited her brother to visit and see her work.
I landed in Belém and saw this vivacious woman jump up and down in the airport with a big smile and absolutely alive. You know, love and compassion make us alive. And she said, "David, I want you here because I want the family to know, and my friends, what I have been doing."
Dorothy Stang had been fighting to change one of the most unequal societies in the world. In the Amazon, powerful ranchers control most of the land and use private armies to keep the Indians and farmers in check. But Dorothy Stang was determined to change the system, however dangerous it might be.
She had the people unite, and she said, "Let's build a school with local materials, grass roof or whatever." So they built it, and they started a school, and a nearby rancher filled up his truck with thugs and came into town, demanded that they meet in the central plaza, said not tear down the school. And of course they had guns. They made the people not only knock down the school, but chop up the lumber and put it in the back of their truck. When they left, Dorothy said, "So what? Let's get going. Let's build another one." She was famous because she built over 31 schools. Can you imagine building 31 schools in the rainy Amazon?
During David's visit, Dorothy Stang was given a prestigious Human Rights Award. It was then that he realized the scale of her work.
The thing that I noticed immediately during the candlelight procession for the Human Rights Award, here were all these shoeless, torn-clothed people demanding to be in the auditorium with their leader, Dorothy Stang. That was impressive. She walked around with a backpack and a satchel. That's how simple she lived. Here's a 5'1" woman speaking Portuguese with an accent, having incredible influence. Dorothy had started women unions, fruit cooperatives, teachers, and I always had pictures of my sister being a football player, not being a leader of thousands of people in the Amazon, leader of a nation. And I'm not saying that lightly. It was unbelievable.
But it was also becoming clear to David how much danger his sister was in.
Legislators and senators were in that audience also. There she is surrounded by them, and them coming up to her, hugging her and saying, "Dorothy, be careful, they will kill you." And some people had tears in their eyes. That was a shock.
Was she worried about that? Did you talk about it?
We did. And yes, that did concern me. You know, you have to realize that we were accustomed to struggle, and if we lost a life, we lost our life. That was true when I was in Africa. Missionaries, if you're out there and about, if you believe in the option for the poor, you have enemies, no matter where you live.
David Stang learnt about his sister's murder in another call to his Colorado home. He spent the whole day crying, but he knew he had to get out to Brazil as soon as possible.
When I went right after her murder to her grave and to where she was murdered, what an incredible trip. It was rainy, and of course the Trans-Amazonian Road is mud and potholes. Thousands of people on their way knew of our coming. On my T-shirt, my wife had put a picture of my sister Dorothy. Thousands of people still with shock in their eyes. They couldn't believe it. Coming up, crying, giving me a hug.
After attending a packed memorial service, David headed even further into the Amazon jungle to Dorothy Stang's final resting place.
Of course, I knelt down at her grave, and it gave me a moment to reflect on the greatness of this woman. And one of the statements I made was, the blood of my sister flows in Brazil, and that makes me bloodline to Brazil, by blood, a Brazilian. Dorothy always looked at the earth as Mother Earth. And when she died, a lot of people see that as tragic. I do not. When they turned her body over, she had a smile on her face. And what that told me immediately was that she knew that as she fell, she was dying and falling into the arms of Mother Earth. You know, what a beautiful picture.
In the years that followed, David Stang honoured his connection to Brazil by blood. At great personal risk, he led the legal fight to get Dorothy's killers convicted. Progress was slow, but eventually the gunmen and the ringleaders behind the murder were found guilty.
I represented Dorothy. I was very proud to do that. For 5 years, 9 trials, 13 trips. People always say, well, aren't you afraid? Well, I'm afraid when I'm driving on I-25 on the interstate. You know, I'm 74. I've had a good life, and I've been free. I wasn't going to let anybody murder my sister and get away with it.
Despite the convictions in Dorothy Stang's case, the Amazon remains a dangerous place. But her fellow nuns from Notre Dame de Namur are still there, continuing her work.